She has always been like really full of life. She's really intelligent.
A teenager who went in for a routine breast implant surgery ended up in a coma.
She stayed strong for us this whole time.
Tonight, a family is now mourning the loss of this 19-year-old. They're desperate for answers and now taking the doctors responsible to court.
They just killed someone and it's fine.
Plus a 3-hour visit to urgent care, and now she's on the hook for $20,000.
They just said that they determined my cost of care and my level of care based on a point system that day.
Tonight, Denver7 is questioning this facility's cost of care.
I think most of it was anger and frustration.
Failure to follow through on the job. We're tracking down a contractor who homeowners say took their money and ran.
Tonight, a Thornton family is asking why their teenage daughter went into surgery for breast implants and came out in a coma.
Emmeline Wynn fought for her life for more than a year but couldn't hold on any longer, and she died last week.
And now her family's suing for wrongful death. And they tell Denver7's Addie Guajardo medical staff failed their daughter and their family.
Emmeline Nguyen walked into Colorado Aesthetic Plastic Surgery in Greenwood Village last summer, ready for an image change.
She was so excited.
After months of saving for a breast augmentation.
Just preparing herself for her new image.
Her mom, Lynn Pham, assured her daughter she'd be fine, but the minutes and hours ticked by.
So the doctor was just trying to tell me that Emmeline is fine and she's healthy.
But she wasn't. Nguyen ended up in a coma, and after being rushed to the hospital, doctors say she suffered a severe brain injury. The family attorney,
this should never happen.
David Woodruff, says Emmeline was left unattended for 15 minutes after a nurse anesthetist administered anesthesia.
She was found by a different nurse in cardiac arrest.
Emmeline was resuscitated, but Woodruff says it was more than 5 hours before Dr. Jeffrey Kim, Emmeline's plastic surgeon, called 911.
Like she wasn't there anymore.
Emmeline became incapacitated and spent 14 months in a rehab hospital.
And I think mommy's here, I'm here. Everything's gonna be okay.
On October 4th, Emmeline's body gave out.
I was like, Emmeline, it's okay. You are the strongest person we know. It's okay to let go. We love you so much.
Her mom says Emmeline had pneumonia. Last December, the family filed a lawsuit against Dr. Kim and Rex Meeker, the registered nurse that administered the anesthesia. The lawsuit accuses them of negligence.
You just don't see mistakes like this that are this egregious. Not in 20 years of practicing have I seen this.
The lawsuit has now been changed to a wrongful death suit.
Like I pretty much lost my daughter is not just my daughter, like my best friend.
More than a year has passed since the surgery. Dr. Kim moved offices, yet Emmeline's family is still searching for answers.
We want the truth.
And we want justice.
Justice for the vivacious, funny, and smart 19-year-old daughter.
I can't hear her voice anymore.
And big sister they lost.
I don't think as parents you're ever ready to let your child go. So it still hurts us every single day.
Now, I did reach out to Dr. Kim and Nurse Meeker for comment. I have yet to hear back. Earlier this year, Dr. Kim was placed on probation by the medical board for 3 years. Nurse Meeker has voluntarily surrendered his license to administer anesthesia. The attorney tells me that this is the second wrongful death suit Meeker is facing. Reporting live in Denver, Addie Guajardo, Denver7.
What a tragedy. Thank you, Addie. The Cameron Peak Fire is officially the largest wildfire in Colorado's history. In the last 2 hours, we have learned this fire has grown to more than 158,000 acres. Up until now, the largest fire on record was the Pine Gulch Fire, which burned this summer on the western slope and scorched 135,000 acres.
So to put this in perspective, show you just how much land this fire has burned, look at this. We overlaid 158,000 acres across the metro area.
Wow. And more evacuations were issued today, including the area of Laurie State Park. Highway 34 between Loveland and Estes Park remains closed tonight. And again, this fire is only 56% contained, and the families evacuated are just hoping for the best.
You can't help but look at the smoke and wonder, is that ash from my house? Is that ash from my neighbors? And just, in a way, it's frustrating that we don't know details, but at the same time, it's our worst fears.
The Red Cross has set up a designated phone line for evacuees. That number is right there on your screen. There's also an evacuation site at the Embassy Suites in Loveland and the Hilton Garden Inn in Fort Collins.
And a new fire in Grand County has forced people to evacuate today. This one's called the East Troublesome Fire. It's burning on U.S. Forest Service land between Kremling and Granby. It's already grown to 400 acres. Evacuees of the Bighorn Park subdivision are being asked to go to the Kremling Fairgrounds. A Lakewood woman walked into an urgent care last month and walked out with a whopping $20,000 medical bill. She was only in there for 3 hours.
And tonight we are learning her cost of care skyrocketed because of the way the facility categorized her needs. Denver7's Gary Bro talked to this woman. He also has more on what you can do if this should happen to you.
When Brielle Cardolano walked out of a Lakewood urgent care in early September, she thought she had a pretty good idea what it was going to cost.
They estimated me at a level 3 emergency, and the price was $1,900, and that's really what I left with that day.
Cardolano received 3 hours of treatment for excessive vomiting at Centura Urgent Care in Lakewood.
I have these vomiting episodes randomly,
arriving just before the standard hours begin.
They said to me, you're too early for urgent care hours, you have to go in at emergency level care. I said, okay, what does that mean to me? What's the difference in price? And they couldn't tell me.
During her time, she received different medications for nausea and dehydration, including 4 IVs. Cardolano didn't receive a diagnosis, but she did receive an estimate for the $1,900. A few weeks later, the actual bill came back, 10 times what she was quoted.
I called up my insurance, and they just said that I had a $20,000 claim from Centura Health. And I was like, this can't be right.
More than $5,000 alone for the IV, about $1,000 in other medications, and an additional $13,000. The total capping out her $6,000 deductible.
My biggest concern is this $13,000 charge.
That charge was for level 5 care.
Why was I discharged at a level 3, and why does my bill say a level 5?
The levels are based on a point system based on severity and amount of treatment.
We tend to see this.
Adela Flores Brennan is the executive director of Colorado Consumer Health Initiative, a healthcare advocacy organization.
We do see folks who have gone to urgent care or to the emergency room with an issue, and then when they get the bill, they're really surprised by the level of urgency.
Some hospitals like Centura have their own grievance process. A Centura spokesperson says we are doing a clinical audit on our documentation to ensure billing accuracy. Flores Brennan recommends taking that process a step further.
Go through the hospital's grievance system, but also I think it's important to go to the regulating authority. So in this case, the Department of Public Health and Environment.
Gary Brode, Denver7.
Some DPS parents say they're frustrated with the sudden change in the district's plan to return to in-person learning. We alerted you that middle and high schoolers will not go back into the classroom as planned next week. And the district defended the decision today, saying just being cautious because of the spike in numbers in Denver.
Really, I feel like we've been gaslighted. We have been waiting to go back to school, and every time right before we're going to start, there's another reason why we can't start.
There are some exceptions here for those learning English and those with special needs. They will be allowed to return. And despite elementary and middle schoolers in Aurora going back to in-person learning this week, Aurora Public Schools now says they're still monitoring data. High schoolers are set to go back to in-person learning next week, but given the decision now from DPS and the increase in cases, that district says they may have to return to remote learning. They're going to make a decision on that by next Thursday.
A woman who recently became a U.S. citizen just got the biggest, warmest welcome from you, our viewers. Mentee Clark was so proud she became a citizen, she wanted to put her certificate on her wall. Little did she know laminating it would make it invalid. Well, she works at Hallmark Nursing Center in Denver, and she needs a passport because she wants to take her husband back home to Liberia to visit family. But the cost to replace that certificate was more than $550, and then you, our viewers, stepped up to help.
On behalf of Denver7 Gives and the Scripps Howard Foundation, we want to present you this check for $555 so that you can go on ahead and get your passport.
I'm so happy for the help and appreciate it. May the Lord bless you. I'm so excited for this morning.
Mentee says her husband was attacked and robbed walking home from work. This was back in May. He was in a coma, he suffered brain damage, and the two plan to travel as soon as they can, as soon as restrictions are lifted. She also wants to learn to drive now to help keep her family safe.
Yeah, sometimes he wouldn't even call, he wouldn't show up.
Trusted to do the job.
This wall over here was crooked.
Shoddy work and incomplete renovation projects have left several homeowners out thousands.
He said that if I don't pay him, he could take me to court for the $3,000 I owed him.
Tonight, Contact Denver7 is getting to the bottom of it, working to get answers from the man responsible.
Huge contrast in temperatures across the state today. Coming up tonight, temperatures dip to near freezing.